I mean, you gotta go after what you want in life. I want the Mike Perry fight, and I want his ex.
Yo, here's the difference. Mike Perry is gonna hurt you. It's a very different deal than fighting some other dude. You know, this guy's coming at you, and he's gonna destroy you.
Oh, what are we gonna do? I'm shaking.
He's violent. He's got a girlfriend in his corner.
Yeah, that's what everybody remembers about Mike Perry. That he walks out with his girlfriend. He's got a really nice looking family now. But I remember watching him back in the UFC, and he used to walk out with the ex-pro tennis player Danielle. I always had a crush on her. She actually kind of reminded me of my ex-wife. Both blonde, attractive, in great shape. I gotta meet her and have her walk me out for the Mike Perry fight, right? Wouldn't that be something? I mean, you gotta go after what you want in life. I want the Mike Perry fight, and I want his ex.
And you never know what color his hair is gonna be.
Well, his nickname's Platinum, so he should come out with platinum blonde hair. But by the end of the fight, it'll be red. It'll be a redhead. But it won't be because of my blood.
That is the reason why Nate Diaz did not want to fight Mike Perry. Okay, let me inform you. Nate Diaz is one tough son of a bitch.
Very few people would want to fight Mike Perry and bare knuckle, but I'm crazy like that. That's the fight that I really crave. But yeah, I'm not surprised Nate Diaz wouldn't want to fight him, and Jake Paul sure as hell wouldn't want to fight him in bare knuckle. They obviously had the boxing match, which Jake had a huge advantage, but yeah, bare knuckle, he'd kill Jake.
So that's the reason why I give the Viking Samurai 1 minute, okay?
1 minute? Dude, you're freaking crazy, man. I'm way more durable than that. I'd survive the whole fight, no doubt in my mind. The question is, would he? Let's see what Sugar Shane Mosley thinks. Hey Shane, how many rounds do you think it would take me to beat Mike Perry in bare knuckle boxing?
Oh boy, I don't know, man.
With these karate hands.
Listen, don't put me on the spot. I don't know. I don't know how good Mike Perry. Well, I do. Didn't he just fight Jake Paul?
Yeah, he looked pretty bad against your buddy Jake Paul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Mike Perry's pretty tough though.
In bare knuckle, he is.
In bare knuckle.
Well, I'm gonna say 3 rounds.
You say 3 rounds?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Take him out in 3 rounds.
Hey, he's gonna take you on 3 rounds. That's what he say.
I know he's just doing this for the clout, but realistically, this is a compliment to Mike Perry. Nate Diaz did not want to fight in bare knuckle. He said to me personally, no amount of money could you pay me for me to fight that man. Yet, Viking Samurai says he wants to fight him for like $10,000 or something. Get real, Viking.
All right, well, let's address a couple things. First of all, it's not for clout. Like, I really do want that Mike Perry fight, and I'm going to show you in this video how far I've come to actually getting it, man. And there's a strategy behind this whole thing. So, no, it's not for clout, man. It's to become a legend, but in order to become a legend, you have to do something legendary. And Mike Perry has become a legend in the world of bare knuckle fighting. So anybody that beats him in bare knuckle would automatically be a legend, be the ultimate challenge. And the Shane Mosley fight, that would have been legendary. Of course, if you guys been following my story, I dislocated my shoulder, so could not have had that fight. I would have been a legend had I beat Mosley, and that would have led to bigger and bigger things. It's all part of strategy. As far as like the $10,000 thing that Jimmy had mentioned, I don't know where he comes up with that number. Obviously, I would want more money to fight Mike Perry. It would have to minimum cover my medical expenses. But the Mike Perry fight for me wouldn't even necessarily be about the money. It's about the status to become legendary, and what it could lead to after that would be insane. And that's where all the real money would come. And money is always a byproduct of success, so the money would eventually come doing any of these things. If you're successful, obviously. You know, if you just go out there and embarrass yourself and get your ass beat, then not only is there no money, but there's it'd be quite embarrassing. But that's why I'm training so hard, man. Mentally preparing, physically preparing, spiritually preparing. It's all kinds of preparation going on. Let's talk a little bit more about Jimmy Justice real quick though. So we had our beef mostly last year. We're cool now for the most part. One of the main reasons I wanted to fight him though is because Mike Perry literally said if I beat Jimmy, and Jimmy's a tough guy, but if I beat Jimmy, he would fight me. So that would have been the gateway to the Mike Perry fight. But what ended up happening was And I was working on this behind the scenes for a while to help facilitate it. So you got to align yourself with the right people. It's all part of the strategy. But basically, long story short, I talked myself into getting the Sugar Shane Mosley fight. So, of course, Sugar Shane Mosley is such a high-level boxer. You know, if I beat Mosley, of course Perry would fight me. Because if I beat Jimmy Justice, if he's willing to fight me, imagine what he would do if I beat Mosley. It'd be all over the boxing news headlines, man. But going back to Jimmy Justice, that's a tough guy, man. Like, he, not that long ago, fought Danny Christie in bare knuckle. He lost, but he put up a really good fight. He could have won that fight, in my opinion. But I bring that up because the level that Jimmy's at, like, Danny Christie is literally fighting for the title pretty soon in bare knuckle. So Jimmy could have essentially fought for the title, but that just shows you the level that Jimmy's at. He was literally one fight away from fighting for the title. That's how high level he is. And then what ended up happening, though, the promotion that me and Jimmy were going to fight on actually got canceled. So that never happened. But I did also tear my bicep last November, late November. But it was healed just enough for me, what I felt, to fight on March 9th in Official Celebrity Boxing. Because I had met Damon, the CEO of Official Celebrity Boxing, and I fought Will Stronghold. It's a good fight. So just to let you guys know the level Will's at, he just recently, on the same card, the Mosley card where I was going to fight Mosley, he fought Hank Lundy. Hank Lundy is legit as hell. Hank Lundy fought Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's like the hottest thing in boxing right now. Conor McGregor offered to fight Terrence Crawford for like $100 million, but he wanted like a 2-fight deal where it's like $100 million for a boxing match and $100 million for an MMA match, which who knows what'll happen, but $200 million is kind of hard to turn down, so maybe that will happen. But the reason I bring that up is Will looked really good against Lundy. He lost by decision, but he hung in there. He looked good against the guy that looked pretty damn good against Terrence Crawford. So the guys that I fought, like Will and the guy that almost fought Jimmy, they're really high-level guys because some people were giving me crap about my opponents. These guys are just like that close to fucking fighting for championships. Well, there's a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Think about that. Begin with the end in mind. What I'm trying to do ultimately, I have a crystal clear vision. And some people, you know, they don't understand or they don't like the approach that I go about trying to do this thing. And there's different paths in with what you want in life. And it doesn't really matter if somebody else likes it or not. If you believe that's the way you're going to get there, then get there. So there's so many seeds that have been planted. There's so much networking going on. Obviously, I'm training in boxing, but I know these seeds take a while. But by the time I can harvest them, my boxing skills will be where they need to be. And I was very confident on that Mosley fight on September 28th, by the way. I was never going to outbox the guy. I'm not that delusional. Some people think I'm delusional, but I'm not that delusional. I was never going to outbox Sugar Shane Mosley because he's a world champion in multiple weight classes, and he's been boxing his whole life. Now, if it was a karate match, I'd do fine. Even his sponsor, Angel AI, thinks so.
We got Pavan, Angel AI. This is Shane Mosley's main sponsor. Now, of course, guys, you know, I was the one that was going to fight Shane Mosley, but I got injured. Pavan, how do you think I would have done against Sugar Shane Mosley?
I think if you can do the karate kicks, you would have done great.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And minus karate kicks, I think you would have done really well as well.
Oh, of course, because the Viking Samurai got the Viking and the Samurai blood.
That's right. You got the killer eyes.
It's true.
But as far as boxing, there's a way I could have beat him, and something that me and my coach in California were specifically working on that could have given me the win. I'm not going to obviously say it because maybe Mosley is going to watch this and maybe I still get that fight someday. But regardless, start with the end in mind. And you can't specifically just say, oh, I want to fight this guy, I want to fight that guy, I want to fight that guy. But if you have that end vision in mind of what you're ultimately trying to do with what I'm, for example, ultimately trying to do in the next few years, that vision is crystal clear. Now, the journey to get there, I have the destination, but the journey to get there, it's going to be full of obstacles. It's going to be full of storms and other stuff. So just for example, just over the last year alone, I got divorced, I lost one of my best friends, I tore my bicep, and I dislocated my shoulder, which cost me, at least for now, that Sugar Shane Mosley fight. What I felt was something I wanted and needed more than anything in my life, and such an opportunity, which obviously could have led to the Mike Perry fight. But it's never going to be smooth sailing. And as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep going forward, good things are going to happen. And any doubters out there who doubt me or anybody else, that's just a reflection of your own limiting beliefs. So you got to change that mindset, man. There's no reason why you can't embark on like your big journey yourself. Like whatever you think is important and meaningful and something that you got to work your ass off. Because I always describe the Mosley fight as like, that's my Mount Everest. And Mount Everest, even if you get to the top, it's supposed to kick your ass. It's going to kick your ass, but that's what makes the journey so worthwhile, to push yourself to do something that ordinarily most people would never be able to do, but you could get to the point where you could accomplish that. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this whole fighting thing, even though I'm getting kind of a later start in the game. But I realize I can still do everything I want to do. I'm still healthy, I'm still fit, mentally I'm strong, physically I'm strong. You know, barring some injuries, which I'm working around. Even after dislocating that shoulder, I was in the gym the next day because there's so many things you could do to work around it. Footwork, head movement, you know, obviously working the left, still do defensive postures, though it's not safe to spar. Obviously, you don't want to wrench the shoulder further, for example. But there's so many things you can do to work around it. But what I'm ultimately trying to do through this channel, through this journey, this mission, obviously, it means a lot to me, but I'm fucking trying to motivate people, because there's a lot of people out there who have these limiting beliefs that they put on themselves, and maybe other people echo that. They'll tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. As long as you believe and you're working towards it and you're focused, eventually when you start accomplishing this stuff, they'll start to see it, they'll come around. But regardless of what they think or the support you get or you don't get, as long as you're focused on it, people will eventually come around and see it. So there's a lot that happened to me just over the last year, and it's very important to like network with the right people, work with the right people. You got to align yourself with the right people. I got myself in movies, I'm getting myself in fights, like big fights actually. And all these seeds I'm planning right now too. If people think, oh, you know, how are you going to get a big fight in the bare knuckle world? It's all part of the strategy, man. Like, I already know the CEO, David Feldman. I already know the matchmaker. I'm already getting to know some of the fighters. These are just seeds that have been planted and that obviously I'm watering. But look how far I got. Like, here's something that literally the CEO of Bare Knuckle said himself.
What's up, guys? It's David Feldman, president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. I'm just here to say, if David, the Viking Samurai Kurzal, is able to pull off a major upset over Sugar Shane Mosley, I'm giving him a super fight on the biggest card in bare knuckle fighting history.
Nothing happens by chance. You can't just sit around hoping something happens. Like, for example, if you're fighting or want to be a fighter and you're boxing, you're working out in the gym, okay, that's good, that's one thing. But how are you going to get a big fight, man, unless you have a manager? But I'll tell you something about the right manager. Like, no one's ever going to work harder for you than you. So until you get to like a certain level, you got to be your own manager, but you got to be that manager that is going to work and believes in you more than anybody. And then and only then may you get the opportunity. And all that bad stuff, all that negative stuff that happened to me just in the last year alone, the only thing that's going to do is make the story I tell someday that much more interesting. Because it's a pretty fucking boring story. If, hey, I want to get a big fight. Oh, hey, okay, you could fight this guy. Oh, okay, cool, I got that big fight. And that's it? That's fucking boring as hell, man. Like, we're all writing our own book. And this chapter, what happened to me this year, could have been fucking amazing. Could have been phenomenal. Instead, you know, it didn't really end up the way I had planned. But things don't always go to plan. But you still, you know, you revise the plan. So I know that this chapter is just going to make my book someday, my story that I tell, that much more interesting. So will I get that Mike Perry fight someday? Maybe. Will I get another shot at Shane Mosley? Maybe. But I'm not waiting around for that. I hope that happens. I'm working towards that happening. But if it doesn't, I mean, me and Damon from Celebrity Boxing are already talking about very interesting opponents. Somebody that this thing will make headlines all over, and what that could lead to would be beyond ridiculous. So you just got to keep working towards what you really want regardless. And if certain parties are involved, great. But if they're not, there's always going to be other great things, great opponents for fighting, for example, great opportunities. Though I would like that Mike Perry fight and his ex